We're about to go see Warcraft.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about this because it's definitely going to be a different movie, like different kind of movie.
Action-packed.
And based
So,
on...
fun fact about Warcraft, World of Warcraft movie, they tried to make this movie like 3 years ago.
That makes sense.
And, they... Apparently the graphics for it were really good, but the story was so terrible that they decided to scrap the entire thing and start over.
That's been interesting.
So that's
it looks like the story is going to be really cool.
I've heard a lot of mixed reviews. I've heard that people really liked it, and I've heard stuff like it was terrible.
I have never played. I don't know about you. I guess maybe you've played it. I've never played World of Warcraft, so I have no idea about any of the characters or anything. So I think I'm going into it with a fresh mind. So we might enjoy it, and if you've played the game, you might not enjoy it.
Yeah, we can't give you the reviews
or maybe
of people
if you
that have played it.
Don't play the game, maybe you hate it, and if you play the game, you like it, like seeing Silent Hill movies.
True.
So
you know, I guess we'll just let you guys know.
So we just finished watching Warcraft, and we're trying to look not so sketchy in this parking lot right now.
We're the last ones here.
Yeah, we're the only people here.
It's about 1 a.m.
Starters, it sucks when your waiter doesn't take off the thing he's supposed to take off, and then you have to track someone down at 1 a.m. to, correct your bill. Because
that did suck, yeah.
That was a sucky part. I was like, okay, thanks.
The first thing I have to say about this movie is I was bored. Like, I looked at my phone, which I barely ever do in a movie, to see what time it was, and it had only been an hour, and I was like,
it was definitely long-winded. I enjoyed it, but there was a lot of parts that really took me out of it. So, like, I enjoyed parts of it, and like, the CGI and the settings and stuff was really awesome. Like, they did that really well.
Yeah.
Like, so it was a well-done movie, and it had a solid plot to it. But, yeah, it was kind of like, I would never see it again.
No. And I I don't know, I just didn't like it. Like, I kind of liked it how it began, and I was into it, and throughout the movie I got more and more frustrated with it, and more like, I don't want to be in this movie. Like, I'm not enjoying this. And then, like, by the end of it, I was like, just let it be over. I was like, I don't...
Yeah, it was really long, and then there was the romance was just, like...
very forced,
it was
in
so
my opinion.
Awkward. It was the most cringy, awkward... Like, they just met, and he's already, like, giving her, like, bedroom eyes, like,
yeah.
And it was, like, really uncomfortable. Like, it was making me cringe, and I'm like, maybe I'm just 12, but it was just, like, super, super cringy, and, like, you're like, why? I mean, I get she's hot, and he's hot, and,
you don't even know each other. Like,
yeah, but they're, like, giving each other, like, looks like, I'm madly in love with you. And then, like, the sorcerer guy is talking about, like, if you have love, you should go to the ends of the earth to find it. And he's talking about her in relation to this, like, human guy. And you're like...
You've just met him. Like...
Yeah. And then, and then that just got all screwed up in the end anyways. And they have this whole, like, Moses parallel. Wait. Yeah, is it Moses? No.
Yeah. Wait, what are you talking about?
The baby that floats down the river and gets taken by...
Moses.
That's not Moses. Who's it?
I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah, I have that.
The Pharaoh of Egypt
and,
thing.
It was like a prequel. Like, it was all to set up a sequel. Like, it was all to set up another movie. That was the whole thing.
Yeah. It was very obvious it's about to set up this other thing that's about the actual war between the orcs and the humans.
Yeah. It was like...
Which is... I don't know.
Okay, like, that's fine.
It's fine, but it's like, it was just kind of a weird movie, and they have this whole, I think it might be Moses, but it's like the baby gets put in the thing by its mom before she dies, and then it gets saved by a family that's either of royal or, like, some kind of higher up, and then the child's raised by them, and then they're in order to, like, bring everyone together. And you're like, okay. But, I mean, it was just kind of
dumb. Like, it was just kind of a dumb movie, in my opinion. I didn't enjoy it. I was like, I don't know, like, all the characters were so unbelievable, I guess. And I was like,
Yeah, and you kind of knew everything that was going to happen. You knew his son was going to die. You kind of guessed that she would, like, somehow end up back on the orc side, kind of.
Yeah.
And then, like, you knew the sorcerer was kind of, like, probably a douche. He was either a complete douchebag or he was evil.
Yeah,
like,
which kind of ended up
you're
being
like,
both.
He was, like, coming in and burning shit and being like, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, why are you freaking out, dude? Like, the first moment you meet him, you're like, okay, dude, why are you freaking out at this, like, little kid? Like, you're this, like, little...
Yeah, predictable is definitely a word I would give it. And it was just, like, none of the characters I felt like were original. Like, every character, it was like you've seen it 1,000 times. You know, you've seen the girl and the guy with his son, and you're all I have, and the family, the guy trying to fight for his wife and kid, and... You know, the evil leader that's nothing but evil has no other, and the good leader that is nothing but good. Like, there's just...
Yeah. I mean,
there was no, like, depth to any of the characters.
Very, very, very fantasy. Like, very fantasy.
It's like...
Where it's like this...
Like, obviously I've never played World of Warcraft, but for someone that hadn't played it, it felt like a very cheap knockoff of, like, a Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking the whole time. I was like, this feels like Lord of the Rings.
Like, you know, whenever they make, like, shitty movies where they're like, oh, this is the thing that people like, is this, like, fantasy element. So we're gonna half-ass a movie and just hope it makes money, like what happens every time, like, anything like that. And that's what I felt about this, and I was like, I get it's about this video game, but it just feels like a cheap knockoff, like a movie that they barely put any work into. Like, they just didn't develop their characters at all. You know, it's like, nobody wants to see a movie where every character is just, like, all of one thing, you know? Like,
yeah. And it was
and this guy, you know, their evil leader, he's just evil. That's just what he is. He's just evil. And you're like, but that's boring. Nobody wants to see. Everybody's seen that story. You know, we've all seen Disney movies as kids. Like, you need to add more depth to your characters to make it a more interesting story.
Yeah, I feel like they could have done other things. Like, they could have shown how the orc leader that was, like, the one that was possessed had actually come to get the possession. They could have talked about how, like, the guardian had fallen into this thing. They could have, like, maybe developed the romance better, like, shown them interacting
just, like,
other than
not even
staring at
it.
each other, like, with...
Like, maybe he, like, rescued her or something.
Yeah, and it was just, like, it made me, like, I had to physically, like, turn away because it was
me too.
so cringy. I felt like nobody else in the theater, there was only, like, 4 other people, though, but sure. I felt like no one else was, like, cringed as much as I...
like, any of the other people in our theater even reacted to anything, though.
Yeah, that's true. They seemed kind of boring. But it was just, like, oh my god, it was so cringy.
Another problem that I really had with the movie is that I felt like so much of the time that was spent on it was just fight scenes.
Yeah.
Which is, like, fine. You know, you get some fight scenes in there. Obviously, they're in a war. There's going to be fight scenes. But when more than half of the movie feels like you're just in this constant battle between giant green people and little people that mean nothing to you, they're just in, you know,
yeah,
guard
and you don't
armor.
get any, like, feeling for the son, and then he gets killed, and I feel like you're supposed to be like...
I was thinking that. I was like, I'm supposed to be feeling something for this, and
but
I
it
don't.
doesn't, because you haven't even known his father that much. Like, you don't know anything about him other than his wife died in childbirth, but you only find that after his son dies.
Yeah.
So you get no character development. You don't even get any character development of this female orc character. Because at one point I'm like, is the guardian about to tell her that he's her father? Like,
yeah, that
and
was weird.
then that just, like, went away, and it's like, well, they call you a halfling, but are you half human, half orc, or are you just mutated, or they kind of don't even go into that. And if you haven't, I'm assuming maybe if you played the game, you would understand that better, but you, like...
Yeah, that was really weird, and, like,
But I did like that they gave, like, an homage kind of to the video game or PC game. I don't really know. I guess assume it's PC game.
Mm.
It is a PC game only?
I don't know. But I know it's, like, mostly
Okay, but they gave, like, kind of that, like, overhead view of, like, when they're going to showing each of the towns that are burned, and they show the last one where you can see the people are fighting in it. Yeah. But it's like that overhead view you get when you're playing like games like, you know.
Like Risk or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought that was kind of really cool because I'm assuming that World of Warcraft is played in that kind of way.
I remember what I was going to
say.
And
I thought that was actually kind of a cool way.
Something that I feel like they really tried to do that I feel like they kind of failed at was create this sort of side storyline going on that was like the son, you know, the father cuts the hand off of this orc, and then that orc uses his like new fake claw hand to kill his son, and then he ends up, you know, being the one that ends up killing that guy at the end. It was like, oh, this great battle, and they were like, he gets to leave because he, you know, killed him, and that's what tradition is. And that was supposed to be this like other story arc going on with the main story, but it was like annoying. Like I found it, like I was like, this is unnecessary. Like I feel like you're trying to add more depth to the story and you're just failing miserably at it.
Yeah, it was like, yeah. And then
it was like, oh, we're gonna have this final battle. Like you think he's gonna get away, but he's not. Now we're gonna have this final battle. It's going to last all of 10 seconds.
Yes! Oh my god,
I was like, this is one of the more important battles. You could have spent time on this instead of like, oh, here's 20 minutes of just people running at each other. I was like, none of this means anything to me. None of this, you use that as a place to set the scene. You don't need to have 20 minutes of people running each other. I mean, it's like the Man of Steel movie where an hour and a half of it is just two people who can't be injured fighting each other. And you're like, this is the same thing. Like, I don't need to watch this.
They're just punching each other and then getting back up and punching each other.
And so you're just like, and that's how this one is. It feels like just two, like, giant armies killing each other. This one dies, and then this one dies, and this one dies, and none of these people mean anything to you.
And then, like, they don't bring up the, like, mage guy ever again. He's, like, sitting next to this, like, guy, like, the guardian that just died, who is whispering this incantation to open a portal, and you think this mage guy would know what he's doing. So why wouldn't the mage then take up the thing and then, or at least like go to where the battle is and be like, what's happening here, you know? And then he just like sits in the like the little tower for the rest of the thing until they're burning their, like, you know, king and he's dead. And you're like, where the fuck were you, dude? Like, you were just like gone. Like, obviously, the Guardian was whispering some kind of incantation. Maybe you should have been like, hey, what were you doing, by the way, before you die? Like,
also, did the main guy have, like, some ancestral relationship with his sister? Because the moment...
Oh, my God! Yes!
The first time they started talking, I was like, oh, this is about to get sexual. He, like, put his arm up, and he's, like, going to, like... look deep into her eyes and be like challenging, and I was like, they're about to fuck. And then it was like, you're my sister first, and I was like, and your lover later? Or
I
like,
know,
where did that come?
What the fuck was up with that?
They had better chemistry than him with the person that was supposed to be his roommate.
I was just like, whoa, what is going on here? And I was like, that's the queen, dude. You can't be fucking your king's wife. And then she's like, oh, I'm your sister. And I'm like, you can't be fucking your sister either. That's not okay. I'm like,
that's probably why I didn't care when his son got killed, because I was disgusted by his character from the beginning.
Yeah, it was just like, and he was being like bedroom, and I was like, is this the way you look at every woman you encounter? Like the first off, and I was just like, this is really weird. And then he like takes up the sword at the end, goes and stands next to his sister. I'm like, this is probably the place you've always wanted to be. This whole time.
I know. I was like, that's what I was thinking at the end too. I was like, maybe you did this on purpose.
I know. It was just like super weird. And then he just like, supposedly him and this orc woman have like a connection or something, and then at the end he's just like, yeah, she betrayed us, she sucks. And you're like,
the other guy's like, I don't believe that, and he's like, we didn't know her as well as we thought we did, or some shit. And I was like, I think you just want to fuck your sister, and so you're just
I was like, okay, so whatever, you know, you guys are he's like, I don't want you to go battle, you know, beautiful orc woman, because I don't want you to get hurt. And you're like,
you don't even know her.
Yeah, like, step off, first of all. You know, I think this woman could take care of herself. She seems very capable. Yeah. And then it's just like, the king is like, kill me, because it's gonna end everything. And then it like doesn't, because she doesn't she kills him, and then it's just like...
Yeah, that was the, like, whole thing about setting it in for another one, and I was like, I'm not gonna watch another one of these. I'm not gonna see a second one. I'm done with this.
I know that was setting it up, but, like, it felt like she was supposed to be like, okay, enough, you know, like, this needs to stop. And then she only did that after her lover, whatever, guy, came and then killed the orc that had killed his son, which is such a cliche thing to have to do.
The whole movie was a cliche.
Yeah, it really was. It was just kind of, like, odd. And, like, there was so many, like, cringy, weird chemistry moments between characters where you were just like, why is this happening?
Like, the Guardian and his, like, male companion.
Yeah, like, they were really close.
Yeah. So I was like, are you guys together? Or who is this man? And then he just, like, refers to him as, like, the old guy.
Yeah.
No, they didn't ever explain that.
They don't, that's the problem, is they brought in so many characters, which I understand why they had to, but they had, like, the chieftain guy, they had his, like, second in command, then they had the wife of the chieftain and the child, then they had the orc that was the ruler with the green eyes, and then they had the orc that was his right-hand man, and then they had, you know, the king, the queen, the Luther guy that was like the army dude, the orc girl, the mage, the guardian, then we had the old guy, and then we also had the son of Luther, and we also had, like, you know, a couple other mentions of other kingdoms, but not really. They were kind of just, like, in the outskirts. And you're like...
Also, another question, like, when, in the very beginning, when she comes in and then she, like, gives birth, it looks like one of those people that he killed in the very beginning of the movie. Like,
yes! Oh my god, that's what I was thinking.
I was like, oh, she cheated on him. That's immediately what I thought. I was like, oh, she has the child of, like, a different species.
No, what I thought was, like, when she went through the portal, it, like, sucked up the energy of the people that were killed in order to... So then it turned her child into, like, the blue thing.
But that's not what I thought. Was like, it's that creature, and then he, like, you know, uses the power of the deer to, like, bring it to life or whatever. But I was like, I don't understand what's happening with
I think it was just dying, so it was turning blue because it was, like, didn't have enough... Yeah, basically. And then when he did it, it became green.
Because it was infected by the fell.
Yeah. So, yeah, that part was kind of weird because I was like... Is it, like, something to do, like, are they gonna be like, oh my god?
They just really didn't explain anything well enough.
No.
And
it, like, if you don't play the game, then you're never gonna understand any of this, and they're saying all these, like, names and stuff that I might understand, and they kind of explain a little bit, but, like, it's just, like, I feel like they should have simplified this story because they had so much...
Yeah.
Character introduction that they had to do, and obviously they want to make a sequel because they set it up for a sequel, and they probably knew that from before they even started that they're gonna at least try to milk this for another movie.
Right.
So, like, you feel like you could have, like, either had less characters to introduce, or you simplified everything just a little bit, because you have, like, the Guardian, and he's doing this, and then you have these other people that are also mages, and then you have the orcs, and then you have, like, the clan inside the orcs that wants to descend.
Yeah, it's like it needed more of an intro than just, we've been at war. Like,
yeah, and then they're like, we've been at war. At the beginning is like, we've been at war for all this time, and let's tell you the story of why we're at war. Which was kind of an interesting thing, but it almost confused me a little bit, because I was like, okay, so the beginning part is, like, probably 50 years in the future, or 100 years or something, because they said that they've forgotten why they were fighting at that point. But I'm like, that doesn't make... Then why did that girl have to kill the king? Because she didn't jack shit. Like, she just did nothing. And then why did the guy that had the, like, the orc that had the Val power, why was he still, like, had the power even though it had been sucked up by the mage guy and, like, taken away from the Guardian? So shouldn't that guy have basically... Didn't he, like, take all the power? I don't
know. Nothing was explained at all.
And then they never talk about anything ever again. I'm like, I'm not watching a fucking sequel because you didn't do this one. Okay? I'm like, I was fairly entertained, but I was also, at the last, like, 30 to 40 minutes, I was wondering if my waiter was ever going to come back and fix my bill. So I was like, I wasn't that entertained.
Yeah, obviously not. I just kept going to, like, went to the bathroom at one point just so I could, like, stand up. Because I was like, I'm bored. I'm bored of that. I don't get bored a lot in movies, and I was bored in this one.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, the only thing that really kept me engaged was the fact that it was really nice to look at. Like, it was really well done as far as CGI and setting and stuff. And it was just kind of, that part was interesting.
It seemed like another main character for this is just, like, shoulder and bicep muscles. Because every single character had, like, giant shoulder muscles.
Oh, yeah. That's, like, a thing with their weird, like, costumes and stuff. And, like actual video game thing.
Yeah. It's like...
But... And then there were so many horses getting killed, and I was not okay with that. I was like, why are we killing all these horses?
Yeah.
Not okay. That wasn't cool with me. I was like, that kind of, like, drew... I was like, can't watch horses getting killed. It's just like... It was just overall not
good.
It wasn't... Like it. I would see it once, and that's it. So I've seen it my once.
I think that's all.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. Getting kind of hot in this car.
Yeah. We gotta head home.
Yep. So thanks for watching. Let us know what you guys think.
If you enjoyed it, if you didn't enjoy it, why you didn't, why you enjoyed it, just comment below. Let us know.
Yep. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.